How we doing, people? John here. Weekly track roundup time in a tier list. Tracks for my tiers. We could call it tiers for my track. It's a roundup anyway. Let's dive into mini reviews of a bunch of songs that came out last week, ranking from the super rare elite all the way down to the hopefully super rare hell on earth. Let's do it. Kicking things off then is the Kid LAROI with his new track 1,000 Miles. Now, I thought it was going to be sampling the legendary Vanessa Carlton song, much like that crazy Spinner Bends track, but no, it's just a really bland kind of pop number from the guy that made Stay and Go, but it's not really on the level of either of those ones. I don't mind the Kid LAROI, he's a decent pop artist, but this one kind of did nothing for me whatsoever. It's overproduced. There's these little like distant falsetto bits which you've heard in a million songs before. The little minor chord shift is okay, but ultimately it just did nothing for me. So this one is going straight into bad. Up next then, Megan Thee Stallion with Plan B, man. Now this is what I'm talking about. I've always thought Meg Thee Stallion was a really good rapper ever since I first heard, I think it's like, I don't know, all the songs basically have the same name. She's in a car anyway. It was years ago. But I haven't really enjoyed much of her music, which is kind of doing that thought thing. And I say that with respect. That's what she calls herself. Most of her songs seem to have that word in the title. But this is just a grimy, kind of toxic, almost feminist anthem in a way. Super aggressive on this really old school, punchy 90s beat. She's talking about that dick don't run me. It's good, mate. Honestly, it is seriously good. And it really showcases how good a rapper she actually is. It's full of bars, the energy, the quotables on this track. Like I said, the beat is fire as well. Honestly, having heard it, I listened to it, I spun it straight back round again, and it was bordering on the E tier. It's not that level. It's gonna go into good, but I would definitely prefer more music like this coming from Meg Thee Stallion. She's really fucking good. That real Houston sound. Yeah. Ed Sheeran's got a new one with Lil Baby. But it's not a new one, it's the track Two Step from his last album with Lil Baby as a feature. I mean, Two Step ain't the worst song on that album by any stretch, but it's still kind of painful, and Lil Baby's feature is unintelligible. I'm not really too sure why it's there. No. It just ain't for me, mate. It's going straight into bad. I don't need to harp on about it. Listen, Lil Baby's got a new album coming out. Hopefully I enjoy it, but this ain't the one for me, man. Bit of a dancey one now. TIEKS has got a new one called The Funk. Now, TIEKS had that song Sunshine, which I thought came out about 2 years ago. Turns out it came out about 6 years ago. And that makes me feel like time is just disappearing infinitely. But occasionally there'll be a song, a dance track that gets massive airplay over here that I really just enjoy. Kind of reminds me of the old days. This, it borders on that, kind of has that like, there's a lot of music that used to come out about 20 years ago that was very Daft Punk. I mean, Stardust, which is literally the Daft Punk guys, like Fats and Small, the sort of stuff that was coming around then, very disco influenced. This is that. It's not quite as good. The bridge to the chorus ain't that strong, but I'm not going to be complaining to hear this at a barbecue throughout summer. It can go into okay. Okay, up next then is Florence The Machine with the new song Free. I put this on, and while I was just nodding my head and enjoying it, the production is really, really strong. It's actually produced by, or co-produced anyway, by Jack Antonoff, who's just been on Flames for years. And then, honestly, I'm just listening to this track and something just started happening. I just started welling up, and I was like, okay, I'm not too sure why. And then I started tuning into the lyrics a little bit more. And by the end of the song, it was pretty obvious that it was a song about sort of a mental health. So I went into the Genius just to check some of the information about it. And she was very upfront about it specifically being about her anxiety. And I think it's really, really, really strong in terms of not only the lyrical content. When I went back through and actually listened to what she was saying, it's quite on the nose. It's quite literal. There's not a lot of metaphors going on there. But what it does is it ties those feelings that she's clearly been feeling and suffering from for a long time into the music. It's kind of an arcade fire. It's quite a fast-paced song, but it has a real power to it. And then I went and watched the brilliant video, which has got Bill Nighy actually cast as her anxiety. That sounds strange, but I'd recommend you go and watch it. And as somebody, I mean, I'll be open and honest, as somebody who suffers really badly with health anxiety, like pretty crippling, like it's difficult for me to go and function in the real world. Honestly, it's just been, you can hear it now. Sometimes when I talk about it, I can feel myself getting stifled, holding my breath. Going back and watching that video again and listening to the song again, listening to the lyrical content, but the hope that it has, and she talks about the music and this thing that she's amazing at, giving her that freedom and then eventually becoming kind of comfortable with it. I honestly thought it was a fucking amazing song. To me, it was outstanding. I'm going to put it into the elite tier, and that is because I think it is a tremendously well-structured, beautiful song. but also it did something very specific to me. It caught me unawares. Just quickly behind the scenes, when I make a video like this, I'm just sitting listening to music to prepare for it. It's different when I do a reaction. I've got like my camera head on and I'm very much in the zone, and it just caught me off guard. Amazing track. I'm actually really looking forward to the new album. Amazing video as well. Definitely go and check that one out. On a very similar subject matter, actually, is the next song from Sigrid and Bring Me the Horizon. It is called Bad Day. Is it? The track's called Bad Life. It's a song kind of about anxiety and depression and the struggle of even getting out of bed, but it didn't really connect with me in such an authentic way. It's very well produced. It's very clean as a song. It builds and builds, and then Ollie Sykes comes on from Bring Me the Horizon, and it gives the song a bit more of an energy. It kind of rocks out towards the end. It reminds me of that kind of like smarmy rock, heavy rock that you get from the 90s, kind of Goo Goo Dolls type of thing. It is an okay track from an emotional point of view. It didn't really connect with me at all. Ollie Sykes' bit did more than Sigrid's, to be honest, because I think his lyrics were slightly stronger. The song's just okay for me. Southside Future and Travis Scott, there's a reaction to this song on the channel, so I won't stay on it too long. Kind of old-fashioned in that it sounds like something from about 5 years ago. Travis Scott 5 years ago, really strong. Future 5 years ago, really strong. Enjoyable track. I'm going to put it in good. I don't know how long it will stand the test of time, but yeah, it did exactly what it needed to. We've got a new one up next from Blxst or Blxst. It's called Sometimes. Real pop song here. Real pop song. Pop kind of current style R&B track, meant for like vibey summer track. It is all right. The chorus is very catchy. I can imagine that a lot of people are going to really enjoy this song. People are more casual music listeners or just listen to mainstream music, and that is fine. And sometimes you've got to make a play like this as an artist to get that kind of recognition. The stuff that I've heard from him before has been better. Zakari's on this song as well, and the last time I heard Zakari, he was on Kendrick's album. So, yeah, it's all right, mate. It's all right. It's all right. Don't get out of your way. Up next, Chainsmokers Riptide. Oh my god. Oh yeah. I did not like this at all, man. I did not like this at all. Super overproduced in a really annoying way. Sounds like the type of song that would just get played every 10 minutes on FIFA when you're just sitting in menus waiting for things to happen. Real painful. And when the chorus kicks in, that same noise that they've been doing for years. Oh, I couldn't stand it. I couldn't even get through the track. It was so irritating to my ears. This to me, because the frustrating thing is I know I'm going to hear this song a million times as well. Straight into hell on earth for me. Songs like that, oh mate, I just can't deal with them, and knowing I'm going to have to hear it that much. Yeah, no thank you, no thank you. Much more pleasant is Daniel Caesar with Bad Bad Not Good. I'm not just talking about the Chainsmokers song here. With the song Please Don't Lean On, Please Don't Lean, Don't Lean on Me, something like that. It starts off like a real just smooth R&B number, but by about halfway through, the beat kind of changes, the instrumentation changes, and it almost goes into that kind of Frank Ocean vibe with the guitar coming in, drums come in later, and it switches up to being almost more of an indie track towards the end. Really strong, really nice, smooth track. Daniel Caesar, an artist that I need to spend more time with personally. But yeah, that's straight into good for me. Definitely one of the best tracks of the week. All right, Architect's new one, When We Were Young. They've softened their sound a little bit, but they still had enough crunch, enough heaviness to it. It sounds like a song that's probably actually going to get Radio 1 airplay. They're easing back a little bit after all of these years and everything that's happened to the band on going quite as heavy. But I don't really think they've lost that. Do you know what I mean? Like some bands really step away from that edge that made them what they were in order to get a little bit more airplay, in order to kind of grow. I understand when they do that, but a lot of bands lose their essence when they do that. I don't think Architects have done that yet. They're in danger if they keep going in that direction of that maybe happening. I'm actually seeing them next Friday, so I imagine that show is going to be a absolute riot. This one I thought was okay. It had a kind of new metal sound to it. Almost sounded like something that you'd hear in WWE in the Attitude Era. But yeah, nothing special from Architects, but they've had a lot of special music in the past, and I'm not worried about them yet. All right, NLE Choppa's got a new song. It's called Slut Me Out, and oh my god, I've never heard anything like this. NLE Choppa talking about that he wants his gooch tickled. I couldn't really get through this song. It was deeply unpleasant to listen to. I've no idea why he decided this was a good idea to put this out like this. I've no idea why anyone would want to listen to this song, to be honest. There's a bit where he says he doesn't come quickly because he's got really good control of his bladder. I'm like, I think you might need to look up a medical journal, my friend. This I never, ever want to hear again. Hell on earth. Please never make me listen to that song again. I don't recommend you listen to it, but I kind of do because you kind of need to. If I had to, you kind of need to as well. All right, Logic, the reactor's favorite, is back with a couple of new tracks and very much in Logic's lane. And I've always said for ages, I mean, okay, he's retired 50 times, he's clearly not retired. I've always said he was just putting out too much music and he just got a bit oversaturated. He kind of ran out of bars and there was never any question about his flow or his like cadence, punctuation. And you know, beat choice is always solid as well. And that's kind of what we have here in a couple of tracks in Tetris and Decades. But because he's not been around for a while, it's really nice to hear him again. Tetris is kind of slick one and an old school beat. Decades is apparently a verse from a decade ago that Six dug up. A couple of different flow patterns and a couple of different beat styles on that one. Neither of the tracks are really like legendary Logic stuff, don't get me wrong, like his really old music, but yeah, it's actually really nice to hear the guy. I hope he's in a good place, do you know what I mean? I know he's going through a lot of shit when he's putting out a lot of music, getting a lot of grief online from a lot of people, but if this is going to be his energy from now on, like he talks about on the second track not needing the money and all that sort of stuff, so yeah, that seems like a much better place for Logic to be, you know, Dad Logic, just doing what he does very, very well. I'm going to put it in good. Come back to these shores for a bit. Aitch, Manchester's Aitch, back with a two-part daily Duppy. And Aitch's music that's been coming on the radio in the last couple of years, I fucking hated, to be honest. Really awful pop rap songs, just constantly talking about how much he's shagging, and it's like, mate, okay, I get it, but like, I don't need to hear it anymore, honestly. He kind of references that in his daily Duppy, but he goes back to what I liked about him before he kind of blew up. And that's bars, slick punchlines. He's still talking about that kind of stuff, but it's funnier, it's wittier, the beats work much better for him than some of the pop stuff that he's been on recently. And it was a reminder to me that he is actually really slick with it. Lots of funny bars on there, lots of slick wordplay. The Daily Duppy production's always fantastic anyway. Listen, Aitch is going to get his bag and I can't hold that against the guy, but I, from a rap point of view, would much rather this type of music coming from him. And I think longevity-wise will actually serve him well to make sure he's still producing music more like this, along with the stuff that gets like the Radio 1 airplay. I'll pop it in good, which sounds like something he'd say. Hot Chip are back with a new track called Down. Hot Chip have been around forever, produced some classic kind of dance indie tracks, some brilliant videos as well along the way. And this one starts out as like something between a disco and kind of a garage rock track, almost like White Stripesy, Black Keysy mixed with kind of disco funk. And I was like, oh man, I am in for this one. But unfortunately, it kind of just like peters out by the halfway point. It switches up a little bit, but it doesn't quite maintain that energy from the beginning of the track. So it's just okay for me, this one. 070 Shake has a new track called Skin and Bones. You probably remember her from her features on the album Yay and some of her solo work as well. This song, the melody was very repetitive and not that strong, and ultimately just kind of kept going and going and did nothing for me. So yeah, it's a bad for me, unfortunately, but I still hold out hope for a new record from her. Her last record was actually pretty strong with some really good tracks, so we'll see. Listen, I'm an Oasis fan. I'm from the Britpop era. I'm that old. Liam Gallagher's back with a new one. It's called Better Days. Actually, sonically, the beat and the actual drums and percussion on it are really, really similar to Let Forever Be from the Chemical Brothers, which, I mean, you may or may not remember, actually featured Noel. And this is from back in the day, and that's a classic cut. This doesn't have quite that same quality to it, but it's an okay song. It's an okay song, and I do think, controversial statement time, at the moment, Liam is making far better music than Noel, and Noel was always the songwriter, always the musician, and Liam was just what he was. But right now, what would I rather listen to out of the two? Who would I rather go and see in concert? Is no contest. It's Liam. Actually, once saw Liam at JFK Airport holding a trolley like this in a weird sort of way. He had sunglasses on. He might have actually been asleep. True story. PinkPantheress, new one with WILLOW. It's called Where You Are. I mean, it's very much exactly like everything that I've heard from PinkPantheress. Kind of like a dreamy two-step track with some like repeated lyrics in the refrain. WILLOW adds that kind of edge to it a little bit. She is currently the least annoying Smith, and that's like a pretty low bar because she's still pretty damn annoying, and that Emo Girl song makes my ACL feel like it's going to snap every time I hear it. But yeah, this song's alright. I've heard other PinkPantheress songs that are better, they're catchier. It's just okay for me. She seems to have a real knack for that kind of dreamy pop dreamy two-step kind of thing. But where she goes from here, I'm not sure, but we shall see. And finally, we've got Absol coming back with Hollandaise, much like Schoolboy Q's comeback the other week. Kind of a strange one for an artist that we've not heard for ages. The song is okay. The kind of like pre-chorus or pre-verse, I guess you call it, sort of hook works really well, where he's kind of aggressive and you know, some bars in there. His delivery is good. It's slick, but compared to what we've heard from Absol in the past, I mean, I think as fans, both from Q and Absol, you having not heard from him for so long, you really want something that goes in. Q had that strange beat that never went anywhere. This sounds a bit more complete as a song, but at the same time, it's not something that you're really like going on social media and talking about, especially in the week where Pusha T's dropped and other artists have been delivering. I mean, I still enjoyed the track. I'm going to put it in good because, you know, I'm an Absol guy, so we'll put it there. So there we go. Check out all the songs down below. Let me know what you think. If there's anything I missed, drop me a message in the comments. Check out another video here or here. Subscribe and I'll catch you on the next one. Right, bye.